Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ken and you're watching Ken's Cuts. On this fun-filled episode, we're going to talk about something on the AXIS that a few of my fellow woodhounds have been asking me about related to stroke limiters on my AXIS. If you go back to last August or so of 2024, I talked about getting a collaboration together with Andrew at Eastonmade. I had been messaging with him talking about the stroke limiter and how I do barbecue wood, smoker chunks, mini splits, and I was really wishing that we could bring the wedge down a little bit closer. So I messaged with Andrew, I gave him my ideas, we did a little collaboration, and he did a modification to the stock stroke limiter, which this one here is about 10 inches total overall length, and this one brings the wedge down to within about 14 inches of the table. And when I'm doing 5-inch or 8-inch splits or small chunks, if I let my foot off the treadle, it's going to go back up to that 14-inch height. So he said, yeah, we can work on something. So about a week or a week and a half later, he sends me a message with this bad boy propped up on his knee on his desk, and he said, mission accomplished, I'm going to get this off in the mail to you. So he did a video on his channel making smoker chunks on the Eastonmade channel, and he coined the phrase Shortstopper. And a few of my fellow woodhounds are getting them confused, calling this the Shortstopper and this the long stopper. So just wanted to talk about the differences between the two. So guys, as you can see here, there's about a 6-inch difference in the length between the stock stroke limiter and what Andrew has coined the Shortstopper. The stock stroke limiter can stop the wedge roughly 14 inches off the table at the bottom fully extended portion at that point, and then if you run the stroke limiter to the upper pin, it allows this arm to go all the way up and stop the stroke rod at the very fully retracted position. So you've got roughly 8 inches of travel here between these two. So it'll still fully extend down to within an inch or so of the table, and then at the retract position, you're 14 inches or so off the table. And my wish to Andrew was to have something that could bring the wedge down to the table and stop it roughly 8 inches or so off the table. And I think the way this one worked out, it stops about 9 inches off the table when you're at this very bottom position. If you go to the uppermost position, the wedge will retract to about 16 inches or so off the table. And there again, you've got that 8 inches of adjustment in between. So this is the stock stroke limiter. This is the Ken's version of the Shortstopper, as Andrew has called it. And I'm going to fire up the machine here, and we're going to load the stock stroke limiter in. And then I'm probably going to mute the motor and do a voiceover and explain the steps that I use to swap out the two when I want to get into barbecue splits and mini splits and smoker chunks. I go to the Shortstopper. So stick around, let me get the machine warmed up, and I'll get right back to you. Okay guys, I muted the motor noise so I can narrate. I step over the frame, I grab the actuator handle, I run the ram down, bring the ram back up, stop at mid-stroke, I release and turn the quarter spring pin. I then raise the stock stroke limiter. I take the Shortstopper. I drop it in place. Turn the quarter spring pin back in. Of course, it's locked, so I raise it part way up. I engage the spring pin into the uppermost hole, and I run it through its cycles. And here you see me checking it at the bottom of the stroke. Now you'll see me adjust the Shortstopper to the uppermost hole and lock it in and run it back down through its cycles. Now we're going to adjust the camera from the right side of the machine so that I can show a close-up of what that looks like when we run it through its paces. Okay guys, here I hang the stroke limiter in between the frame rails and I actuate the wedge down to show that the Shortstopper is flush with the bottom of the wedge plate and there's no interference. The prototype that I built was too long and it extended beyond the wedge plate, and I sheared the spring pin on the first stroke that I made. Here I demonstrate the Shortstopper with the lock pin in the very lowest position, and it is flush with the bottom of the tube that supports the Shortstopper, and that provides the shortest possible stroke. Okay, here we're going to show a close-up of the Shortstopper at the minimum height off of the table, which is approximately 10 inches. So that's the minimum stroke height. And here we show it actuating and coming back to the 10-inch position. Now this section I'm going to show a close-up of the Shortstopper at the maximum height of retraction, which is approximately 17.5 inches. And that's the full travel with the Shortstopper. This is just a photo of the stock stroke limiter at its maximum height of 23 inches off of the table. This photo shows the stock stroke limiter at a minimum height of 15.5 inches from the table. Alright guys, I did not do my closing outdoors, so I just wanted to take a minute and thank you all for watching, and I hope that this video was informative to those of you that have an AXIS machine that are not sure what a Shortstopper really does. When I'm doing barbecue splits and smoker chunks, I use that Shortstopper to have the wedge stop at 10 inches off of the table. It shortens the cycle time, and it's very simple to change, as I showed in the video. Those of you that have an AXIS that are considering a Shortstopper or doing some shorter splits for solo stoves or tabletop stoves and things like that, you might want to consider calling the factory. A couple of my woodhounds have recently purchased AXIS machines and they added the Shortstopper to their order. I believe the upcharge is $50. You can have that second piece shipped out with your machine, and I highly recommend having both of the limiters in your arsenal. Very simple to change, as I said. And that's about going to do it for this one, guys. Thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share with your friends. If anybody's that you know has an AXIS that might not be on YouTube, please share with them. And if you want to add that Shortstopper to a future order, as I said, I believe it's a $50 upcharge. Well worth the money. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a good week, and we'll catch you on the next one.